Hello, and welcome to Prophecy Wednesdays, where we study God's Word and we look at things that are happening today in the world and look at them from a prophetic standpoint in the Bible. Many people have asked me questions, and said, Dave, where do you find these things in the Bible? And I think I'm going to concentrate more on the Bible than I am on what's happening in the world. But I'm using the worldly articles to lead us to places in the Bible to do a study. The one that I was looking at earlier is one where Britain and the United States declined to sign the AI Accords, citing that this would increase global governance. Now, I think that's a good decision. I don't think that, I think we need to make sure what we're doing before we sign something like that. AI, I think, plays a very big part in the end times. In fact, it plays a big part in global governance. And I've had people ask me, Dave, where would I find in the Bible the one world government? I've looked all over. I can't find it. Where can we find that? And I think I want to, today I'm going to show you where that is in the Bible. I'm going to show you what that end time looks like. And I'm going to show you where I think AI plays into this. So if you'll turn to Revelation 13, Revelation 13:1, this is where we're going to start looking at this one world government. Well, let's do a little bit of a history while you're turning there. In the book of Daniel, Daniel, of course, interprets Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Remember, he had this dream and he wanted to know the interpretation of the dream, and he called the wise men together and he says, tell me the interpretation. And I said, "O king, tell us the dream and we'll give you the interpretation." And he said, no. You tell me the dream, and then I know your interpretation will be correct. And I think that's a pretty smart thing, because anybody can tell you anything about anything. How can you prove if that's right or not? And so with his thought pattern was, if this person knows my dream, then they should know exactly what it means, or what they say it means is what it means. And of course, none of the wise men can do it, and he's ordered them to be killed. And Daniel is one of the wise men, and he says, what's going on? What is the uproar? And they explained to him what's going on, and he told the king to give him time. He would tell him the dream and the interpretation thereof. And that's when God gives him the message and tells him what the dream was and what the interpretation is. And he goes to the king and he says, "King, your dream was this big statue. It had a head of gold, it had arms and chest of silver, and it had bronze for its abdomen and hips, and then down through its legs were iron, and then on the feet was iron and clay mixture. Then we saw a stone, as if it had not been carved by hands, come out and smack the feet of the great statue, and the statue falls over into pieces." And that's, of course, a picture of the end times. It shows us all the kingdoms that are leading up to the very end. And of course, the stone that was not cut out by hands or hewn by hands, of course, would be Jesus and his return. So we look at the head was Babylon. The head of gold was Babylon. Next is the arms and chest of silver. And remember, the Persians and the Medes came in. The Persians were the weaker, but they conquered Babylon first, and the Medes came in and they were stronger. And then after that, for the bronze, was the Greeks. And after the Greeks came the legs of iron, which were Rome. And now we are looking at the mixture of clay and iron for the feet for our very last kingdom, which is going to happen in the 70th week of Daniel. Now remember, everything in the Old Testament and some of the New Testament is tied strictly to the 70 weeks of Daniel. And that would be a very good study that I may do, is explain those out to everybody, how that works. But in Daniel 9:26 was the end of the 69th week when Jesus was crucified. Because his people didn't receive him, the church age started. And this is what Paul's talking about. The church age is a mystery. No one knew this was going to happen, not even Daniel. He didn't know that there was going to be a church. So now we're waiting for the 70th week to happen, and that week is a very tumultuous time. That is actually the tribulation. As you read into Daniel 9:27 and into Daniel 7 and Daniel 12. There's all sorts of things that talk about this. Now, Revelation breaks down the tribulation better and tells you each part of the tribulation. But here we have these different kingdoms. Now, if you read over in Daniel 7 and 8, you're going to see that these kingdoms are ascribed animal features. One's a cheetah because it comes in so fast, and one is a bear that's got one side up higher than the other, and then the first one is a lion with wings, and it describes all this stuff, and then it goes and tells you what each nation is. And it's a fascinating study. And I think that when you come over to Revelation 13, it's going to show you how all these features come together in the end to make the clay and iron feet kingdom that is known as the beast or the one world government. So we turn to Matthew 13, verse 1, and it says, I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Let's stop there for just a second. The sea normally, typically represents Gentile nations. So you see, when you see the word sea, think Gentiles. When you see the word land, think Israel. When you see the word earth, think Gentiles again. That's the entire earth. So bear this in mind, that this is a beast coming up out of the sea or out of the Gentile nations, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon these horns 10 crowns, and upon these heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, his feet were that of a bear, and his mouth was of a lion. And the dragon gave him power and his seat and great authority. The dragon would be Satan. So here is Satan propping up this one world government that's coming out of the Gentile nation, and it has 7 heads, 10 horns, and upon those horns crowns. And then it talks about them being like into a leopard, which we talked about earlier, and a bear and a lion. So this is a conglomerate of all these nations come back together, clay and iron, to rule the entire world. And the dragon gave his power, and I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? So if you read back in Daniel 7, you'll see where we talk about this beast again. And you'll see the 10 horns. You will see the 3 of the horns will fall, which I think is that is the time where the head wound is, and then the Antichrist, the little horn, is going to come in and shore that up. And I think when that happens, the next verse switches to the beast, or who we would call the Antichrist. So this is the second beast. The first beast is the system, all those nations coming together. This is the next beast, or the Antichrist, and it says, And there was given unto him, the beast, a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, and blasphemed his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwelt in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given to him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. So here we have the beast leading the beast, or we'll say the Antichrist leading the beast. And so from verse 5 on, whenever it mentions this beast out of the sea, it's one in the same, the Antichrist leading the one world government. So here we have the one world government with its leader, the Antichrist. And I notice it says, And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. There's a magazine I receive. It's a very good magazine, Midnight Caller. It's very good, and there's a guy in there that writes fantastic articles, and I have a little bit of a disagreement with it. This is nothing that affects my love and care for another Christian. I believe he's a Christian, And we can disagree on these little things. It's not a big deal, but he believes that when it says to make war with the saints and to overcome them, that every single saint during the tribulation will be killed. All those that believe in God will be killed. And I disagree with that. I think that the words to make war with and to overcome them does not mean to destroy them. And now there is a verse back over in Daniel 8:24 or 25, and it says that he was going to destroy many. Well, many in that situation, that's not talking about saved people, that's talking about unsaved people, because many is typically described as unsaved. So here he is, he's given to make war with the saints, and all them that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So here we have a book of life of the Lamb, and that's very important that it says of the Lamb. And that would be, we don't have time to discuss that out today, that would be for another time. It says, any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And here is the patience and faith of the saints. So he's going to make war on the saints. He's going to cause them great strife and problems. And it says, beheld another beast coming out of the earth. So this is the entire world. This could be anywhere. I would even say this could be Israel. The earth just means the entire globe. And he has two horns like a lamb, but he spake as a dragon. And I think this is the beast that's the false prophet. He comes in, he looks like religion, as the world would describe. He looks like Jesus, but he speaks like a dragon. It's Satan that's controlling him. And he exerciseth all power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So he's going to have them worship the beast that came up out of the sea, the one world government. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire to come down from heaven and on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Notice he had the power to do it only when the beast was there, and the beast is given power by the dragon. So this is a power that's finite, that you can only give or use in the presence thereof. And then it says in 14, saying to them that dwell on the earth, this is in the middle of the verse, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both great and small, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man may buy or sell, save he have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So I think this is where we play into AI. So it says that he's going to set up an image of the beast. This would be the image of the one world government. This would be like an artificial head that can control things and do things for him. I think that Satan, the beast, are trying to imitate God. And so using this AI system that can talk and hunt people down, I think that this is what he's using to have omnipresence and omniscience. So, Satan is always trying to mimic God, and Satan does not have the power to be everywhere at once, and people would say, well, I think Satan's tempting me. Well, it could be, but Satan can only be in one place at a time. So if he's with you, he can't be with anybody else. He's a single entity. He's not like God, that he's omnipresent. But AI gives him the feeling and the look of omnipresence and omniscient, that he can know everything that's going on over the entire world. And that this system, this image of this system, can tell him who's not worshiping, who is who, and be able to look and say, well, this person hasn't taken a mark, you can't buy anything, and then the people that will come down and hunt those people down and try to kill them. And I do agree with the guy in Midnight Caller that there will be a very, very small amount of people that make it to the end of the tribulation that would go into the millennial kingdom. I think that's a very small number, smaller than I can even imagine right now. When I look at Revelation and we look at that in totality, the billions of people that are going to die on this earth is unreal. In the first half of the tribulation, it says that a quarter were killed here and 2/3 were killed here. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a horrific time, and there's going to be lots and lots of death. But I think AI plays into this. I think the AI is this image. And I don't know if this image is going to be set up into like a robot, or if it's going to be just a, I think of Hal on Space Odyssey 2001, The Space Odyssey, or in Logan's Run, they have the crystal in their hand, and the AI tells them it's time for them to die, and I think that's something of what we're looking at here. I think that this is what this image is a way for the Antichrist to be omnipresent. Please feel free to leave comments in the comment section and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for being here on Prophetic Wednesdays, and then we will see you next week.